morning to each and every one of you. We've got a nice turnout today. I'm Brian LeClaire. I am President-elect of LERA, and I'm an attorney at Lippman & King law firm in Syracuse, New York. And we represent at Lippman & King unions and employees and multi-employer benefit funds as well. So we're on that side of the spectrum. The title of today's program, From War Zone to Workplace, Challenges Facing Combat Veterans at Work. And I'm going to give Mr. Valenti from the Steelworkers a chance to just briefly discuss the genesis of this program, but really he and Cary and others at the Steelworkers get full credit for it. I just stand up here and pretend like I was the one that organized it, when in reality these are the guys behind the scene doing it. But I should mention there's current president, Cary Langan, wishes she could be here, but she's out on maternity leave, so I'm sort of filling that role for now. We've got a lot of other folks from the LERA board. We've got, let's go down the rungs here. Andy Dover, treasurer. Want to raise your hand? Secretary. And then Tim Fay is a treasurer.
Right.
I don't see him. So
well, he's retiring in September.
We'll give him a demerit. He's not going to get his LERA pension. He didn't show up.
That's right.
Show up.
That's right. No credits.
And we've got Jim Valenti, VP for Labor, Craig Atlas, VP for Management, and Mike LaPointe, VP for the Neutrals. And we've got other folks, other board members, at-large board members. Probably missing some people, but thanks for your service to LERA. Just a quick background, what is LERA, right? I've mentioned it about 15 times so far. It's the Labor and Employment Relations Association, all right? It's a national organization with many local chapters. We are the Central New York chapter, and it's an organization, according to the mission statement, we're professionals interested in labor and employment relations, including representatives of labor, of management, government, academics, advocates or lawyers, and neutrals can network and share ideas and learn about new developments and practices in the field of labor relations. So we all get together, have discussions, usually relatively informal roundtable type discussions like this. And we think it's great, and we would encourage anybody that's interested in getting involved to reach out. We're pretty active, always seeking new members and people with ideas. So please reach out if you've got some interest. All right, now we've got a great program today. A wonderful group of folks up here who are going to sort of lead and facilitate the discussion today. We have, to my immediate left, Yelena Duterte, who is the lecturer and director of Syracuse University College of Law's Veterans Legal Clinic. She joined Syracuse in January of 2015. Previously, she was at the John Marshall Law School, where she was the assistant director of the nationally recognized Veterans Legal Support Center and Clinic. As assistant director, Yelena managed over 15 students in a caseload of over 100 cases each semester at that position. She is very knowledgeable in the benefits process before the Department of Veterans Affairs and assisting veterans with those benefits issues, including appeals to the Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. She has also worked on cases that include Service Members Civil Relief Act and family law. And during her tenure at VLSC, Yelena worked under a Department of Justice grant in federal and state court, helping veterans facing criminal charges in Cook County's Felony Veterans Treatment Court program, which is something that I think we'll probably touch on during our discussion today. So welcome, Yelena. Thanks for being here and participating. We have to her immediate left, Assemblywoman Pamela Hunter. Assemblywoman Hunter is a native of upstate New York and a U.S. Army veteran. She currently represents the south and east sides of Syracuse, east side, as well as the towns of Salina, DeWitt, and Onondaga in the New York State Assembly. Prior to her election to the State Assembly. She served on the Syracuse Common Council. For the past 2 years, she sat on the board of the Syracuse Industrial Development Agency, working to create jobs and grow the economy. She has a long history of leadership in local nonprofit organizations, and she's passionate about building a better future for Central New York by creating good jobs, which we always appreciate. Improving our schools, which I know at least I appreciate with my two guys in the city schools, and keeping our streets safe. She lives in Syracuse with her husband and son. And to her left, Cary Eldridge. Cary's a staff rep for the United Steelworkers Union. He services local unions all the way from the Pennsylvania border to the Vermont border, quite a territory. Did they cover mileage over there at the Steelworkers? Cary was appointed. He was appointed to the Veterans, or I should say, he was appointed as the Veterans Coordinator for the Steelworkers District 4 about a year ago. After proudly serving in the U.S. Air Force, Cary went to work for Hammond and Irving, where he spent 15 years as a millwright and local union president. Cary is a member of the American Legion and a life member of the AM Vets. He currently lives in Montezuma, New York, where he serves as the town justice. And last but not least, Keith Adams. Keith retired from active duty in June 2015 after 23 years of service in the military, with 18 years in the explosive ordnance disposal field. He has filled every enlisted leadership position within his career field, to include First Sergeant and Provisional Battalion Sergeant's Major. Keith has done multiple combat and humanitarian deployments to include Iraq, Afghanistan, and Bosnia as well. His awards and decorations include the Purple Heart, 3 Bronze Stars, 2 Meritorious Service Medals, 2 Humanitarian Service Medals, and 5 Army Commendation Medals. Is that it? Upon leaving service, he was hired as the plant superintendent for WestRock's Pamela's facility. Keith has various roles and responsibilities at WestRock, including assisting in the recruiting and mentoring of veterans into the company. So, as I said, wonderful group of people, and just to sort of fill all of you in, I think the idea here is, we'll have some discussion points. Panel members will kind of go back and forth. Please feel free to interject, raise your hand if you have a comment, a question. This is meant to be kind of an open forum. If we get too far afield, then I guess it's my job to try to bring us back. But don't worry about that if you've got something you want to discuss. And Jim Valenti, again, from the Steelworkers, I think he deserves a lot of credit for coming up with this idea for our fall program and helping make it happen. Jim, I don't know if you wanted to say just a couple of things about that, how it came about.
Well, first I want to thank the board for asking me to come on board as the vice president. I look forward to the dialogue. When I was asked to come on as vice president and asked about some ideas relative to our LERA subject matter, I said I would like to have a dialogue with the LERA group relative to returning combat vets. And the reason I raised that, couplefold, I have the privilege of representing members, 3/4 of the state of New York and Vermont, all kinds of industries. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we have been experiencing some activity in the actual workplace relative to returning vets. Some of those are discharges because of excessive attendance, some violence or aggression on the work shop floor, domestic disputes on the outside that affect behavior or employment in the facilities. And normally handles these cases like any other case. They do their investigation. But what we've been finding is, in many of the cases, it involved combat veterans who had very limited transition time from when they left the battleground to when they came back into the workplace. Specifically, and most notably with reservists who actually left the streets of Baghdad and 3 weeks later are on a graveyard shift in a place of employment. Very little acclimatization back in, very little transition back. Our members, these veterans, do not often tell anybody of their military service. They don't talk about the trauma or the post-traumatic stress they may have suffered. They just remain quiet. Also, as a result, if we're able to get their jobs back, oftentimes it's contingent upon them going to employees assistance programs. And what we found over the last couple of years is a lack of participation by these veterans that ultimately null and void their last chance agreement, and then they're out in the streets because they will not openly have a dialogue with counselors as a condition of employment because they're non-vets. They don't have that connection. Given all these problems, and given the fact that also I have an active military service son who 4 combat tours and suffers from post-traumatic stress syndrome, I said I think that we ought to have a dialogue. Now, we've had some dialogues with employers. We have some progressive employers. The WestRock facility, Keith's facility, is a steelworker facility. I actually service that local. They're kind of progressive in their proactive thinking relative to vets. We're hoping that this discussion forum will lead to further discussions and possibly the development of some best practices on how to deal with combat veterans in a workplace. Whether that's a different kind of a track for employees assistance to where it's veteran on veteran help, whether there's some consideration as we're seeing with the district attorney's office in the criminal case where there's a parallel track taking into consideration the veteran services, or just generally a proactive approach where we can have someone trained, probably a veteran, in every workplace that can begin the dialogue before a discharge or a discipline action with a veteran. So it's veteran on veteran assistance. If we could achieve one of those issues, I think this would be a success, or one dialogue, or one best practice policy for our communities. I believe it's a win-win-win situation. Clearly it's a win for the veteran. Clearly it's a win for the general workforce in the union. And I also believe it's a win for the companies. Also, we would like to discuss and expand preferential. The Steelworkers adopted a policy at our education conference, a resolution that we are going to try to secure in every one of our upcoming contract negotiations, preferential hire for combat veterans. So that we've already committed to. All the staff have been instructed that every contract proposal going forward will have language that deals with preferential hire and expansion of a current existing employees assistance program, talk about specifically EAP for veterans, and also some special consideration in terms of disciplinary procedures for combat vets. So I look forward to the dialogue, and thank you all for your participation. It's very important.
something that needs to be dealt with in terms of veterans having issues in the workplace that maybe requires a special attention? If so, Cary, how do you know that? What have you observed? What have your experiences been as a union staff rep?
Well, speaking from, staff rep now, as we represent the employees in the workplace, it's common knowledge. And through that, we have, the right to represent through the disciplinary process. With the individuals you see